Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Global. We'll get you top stories from India and the region. I am Tanvi Taneja, and for news from the rest of the world, I'm joined by my colleague in London, Ollie Barrett. Hi, Ollie.
It's just past 12:30 p.m. here in London, 1:30 p.m. across Central Europe. Coming up in the next half hour, more elections around the world, more aid for Ukraine, and more strikes here in the UK. First, the headlines.
Millions of South Africans are voting in the nation's most tough-to-call parliamentary and provincial elections since the end of apartheid 30 years ago. It's the penultimate day of campaigning in India's seventh and last phase of polling. Leaders ranging from Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Congress Chief Mallikarjun Kharge are busy drumming up last-minute support. Israel's national security advisor says fighting in Gaza will go on for 7 more months at least after President Joe Biden hints an unchanged US policy towards Israel after the Rafah strike. And in some respite from the searing heat wave, India Meteorological Department forecasts the arrival of the southwest monsoon in Kerala in the next 24 hours. So 2024, it's not just an election year, it's perhaps the election year. So up first, we get you the latest on the world's largest elections, now in its last leg in India. India is all set to vote for the 7th and the final phase of general elections on 1st of June. 57 constituencies across 8 states and union territories will vote on Saturday. Fate of 904 candidates will be decided in this phase. 13 seats each in Uttar Pradesh and Punjab, 9 in West Bengal, 8 in Bihar, 6 in Odisha, 4 in Himachal Pradesh, 3 in Jharkhand, and 1 seat in the union territory of Chandigarh will go to polls in the 7th phase. Meanwhile, campaigning for the final phase of Lok Sabha elections has reached its peak with just 3 days left for polling now. Senior BJP leader and Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a public rally in West Bengal. The Prime Minister of India said that TMC is openly violating the ideals of Indian Constitution. The TMC granted OBC status to the entire Muslim community, thereby transferring reservations meant for the SCs, that's scheduled castes, scheduled tribes and other backward classes, to Muslims. The Indian Prime Minister also held a rally in the state of Odisha. He said that the BJD left no chance to loot mineral wealth, but the BJP created District Mineral Foundation to stop this. Another BJP leader and Home Minister Amit Shah held a rally in Uttar Pradesh's Maharajganj, Devariya, Balia and Sonbhadra today. Slamming the opposition parties, Amit Shah said that Rahul Gandhi and Akhilesh Yadav will hold a press conference on the June 4th and say that they lost the elections due to faulty electronic voting machines. BJP National President JP Nadda held a roadshow at Godda in Devghar, Jharkhand today. And top leaders of opposition parties are also making a last-ditch attempt to woo voters in their favour. Congress Party's National President Mallikarjun Kharge held rallies in the eastern Indian state of Odisha. Congress General Secretary Priyanka Gandhi Vadra is on a campaign trail in the northern Indian state of Himachal Pradesh. She held a rally in Kullu district. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee attended a public meeting in South 24 Parganas district. So clearly the poll crescendo in its high. And our correspondent Amritpal Singh now joins us from Patiala, Punjab, in the north of India. Amritpal, how is the electoral saga unfolding in Punjab?
Well, it is at its zenith. It's a frenzied campaign that's going on where I am right now in Patiala constituency of Punjab. Rahul Gandhi is currently campaigning here, holding a rally in favor of the Congress candidate Dr. Dharamveer Gandhi from Patiala, who's contesting against Parneet Kaur, who's been a two-time MP, though she was with the Congress, just joined the BJP before the elections, following her husband's footsteps, Captain Amrinder Singh's footsteps. Punjab essentially is seeing a multi-cornered contest, the fight essentially being between the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party, though they are India Bloc Alliance at a part of the alliance, they are alliance partners at the national level, but in the state they are contesting against each other. The Shromani Akali Dal and the BJP, who were former alliance partners till 2020, now contesting against each other. So it is about alliances, about broken alliances, about once upon a time alliances. So that makes the fight very interesting, multi-cornered. Also, independents, especially radical independents like Amritpal Singh, who's lodged in the Dibrugarh jail under the National Security Act, is contesting from Khadur Sahab. They have a certain support in certain pockets. It may not be enough to win the election, but they can upset the apple cart for the traditional parties. Simranjeet Mann, the sitting MP from Khadur Sahib, Sangrur, also in the fray. He also has a sizable following. So the contest becoming five-cornered, four-cornered on most seats, five-cornered on some seats where these independents are contesting. Tanvi.
Thank you very much, Amritpal, for summing up the politics at play in Punjab. We'll have to look forward to Saturday, and of course, then all eyes will be on Tuesday, 4th of June, when the results of these elections will be declared. So from elections in India to elections in South Africa now, in what is being pitted as the most competitive poll since the end of apartheid in 1994. My colleague Ollie Barrett is in London. He gives us more on this and other stories making headlines around the world. Ollie, a key test for the ruling African National Congress and President Ramaphosa today?
Very much so, Tanvi. South Africans are voting in those national and provincial elections that could test the ruling African National Congress's 30-year tenure. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa cast his ballot in the Johannesburg township of Soweto. Democratic Alliance leader John Steenhuisen also cast his vote in his hometown of Durban. More than 27 million South Africans are registered to vote across more than 23,000 polling stations. Voters will elect 9 provincial legislatures and a new national parliament, which will then choose the country's next president. And DD India's Isaac Lukando is joining us live now from Johannesburg in South Africa, with voting well underway now. Isaac, what is the atmosphere like where you are as people cast their votes?
Okay, so I'm in Sandton in Johannesburg, a very affluent suburb of the city. Behind me you can see some voters going in, and this flow of vote has been going on since the early hours of the morning, since 7 o'clock when the polls opened. The mood has been generally very calm, except for a few issues of nervousness, agitation when the polls delayed by a few minutes to open. But after that, things have flowed relatively smoothly. We also got a chance to talk to an African Union delegation that passed here. They are observers. They had gone to 4 other polling stations, and they report to us that things there have also been generally very, very calm. And so what one can describe this mood as calm, but also you sense an eagerness amongst the voters to go in and cast their ballots.
And Isaac, what have been the key issues in the campaign as the ANC tries to avoid losing its parliamentary majority?
Well, the issues have centered around the fact that South Africa is the most unequal country in the world, and this is according to the World Bank, amongst others that have done research here. The fact is that the poor are very poor and the rich are very poor, very, very rich, sorry. And so this has been the basis of most of the campaign issues that have come up. So you have issues like unemployment, where you get 1 in 3 South Africans unemployed. Many South African youth, young people, want to have jobs. They want service delivery for things like water, electricity, which are scarce in some areas, and load shedding, for example, that has been a scourge for many South Africans here. And so these have all popped up. The opposition is hoping to take away crucial votes from the ANC, and this could obviously see the ANC lose its majority. And if that happens, then maybe a coalition is in the offing.
Isaac Lakando in Johannesburg for DD India. Thank you. The Ukrainian military has shot down 13 of 14 drones launched by Russia in an overnight attack. Drone debris damaged power lines in central Kirovohrad region, and the attack triggered a defense mechanism that cut power to some localities. The Ukrainian Air Force also shot down 11 drones over the Mykolaiv region. Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry says planes from its Black Sea fleet have destroyed 2 Ukrainian Crimea-bound sea drones in the northwestern part of the Black Sea area. Sweden has announced military aid worth $1.3 billion to Ukraine, its biggest package so far for the conflict against Russia. The Swedish defense minister says the package will help strengthen the Ukrainian air defenses and includes Saab's airborne surveillance and control 890 aircraft. Last week, Sweden agreed on sending additional military support to Ukraine, worth $7.1 billion over a period of 3 years. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has touched down in Moldova. Antony Blinken's due to meet President Maia Sandu and other senior officials in the Moldovan capital Chisinau. The top US diplomat will aim to solidify Western support for Ukraine across NATO allies and neighbouring countries. Russia says it can cope with a European Union ban on imports of its liquefied natural gas, but says it would lead to higher prices for European consumers and losses for EU companies. The EU is considering a ban on the transshipment of Russian LNG as part of a 14th package of sanctions against Russia. The new sanctions would also prohibit EU ports from handling Russian liquid gas shipments to non-EU states, as well as tighten existing EU restrictions on Russian aviation. Junior doctors here in England will strike for 5 days ahead of the UK's July the 4th election as part of a long-running dispute over pay. The British Medical Association says junior doctors will stage a full walkout from June the 27th to July the 2nd. The union says it's taking action because there have been no credible offers after fresh talks in mid-May. This will be the 11th walkout by junior doctors since their first strike in March 2023. Right in the middle of the election campaign, Tanvi, over to you.
Thank you, Ollie. Ollie Barrett joining us all from London. And now move from Europe. French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte are in Germany for a 3-day state visit. French President Emmanuel Macron and Germany's Olaf Scholz held a joint Franco-German cabinet meeting in Grandsee, a town in Germany, on Tuesday. The leaders said Ukraine should be allowed to hit military sites inside Russia from which missiles were being fired at Ukrainian territory, but not other targets. They added, as long as Ukraine respected the conditions given by countries that supplied the weapons, it was allowed to defend itself. And to fill us in on some of the details of Macron's trip to Germany, we are now joined by DW correspondent Emily Leshner from Berlin. Hi, Emily. Macron has made several trips to Germany, but this is the first time in 24 years that a French president has made a state visit to the country with full pomp and circumstance. What is the significance of this trip and how is it different from his earlier visits?
Well, normally when Macron comes to Germany, he meets with Chancellor Olaf Scholz and they coordinate their EU and foreign policies. This trip is different because of its goal, which is to send an important message to the rest of the world. And that's that the relationship between Germany and France is solid, despite some very big disagreements they've had. Disagreements that include how to support Ukraine. Macron has said he's willing to send in ground troops. He said this in the past, recently, which Scholz is adamantly opposed to. Macron also argues that Ukraine should be allowed to attack Russian positions with long-range missiles like the Taurus missiles that Scholz has refused to send to Ukraine. They also disagree on issues related to economic policy, military spending, and the energy transition. And the other really important difference in opinion revolves around economic policy and trade. In terms of military spending, Macron wants Germany to commission European companies for its arms instead of U.S. ones. That's part of a strategy that he's keen on, one that encourages EU members to buy European defense and space products. And Germany is happy to keep buying them from the U.S. And then there's the issue of China and well, Macron...
We just don't bring you... Thank you for staying with us. You're watching DD India Global. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Back to Asia now. Israel's National Security Advisor has said that fighting in Gaza will go on for 7 more months at least as military operations have intensified on the ground. The United States said on Tuesday that it did not consider Israel's attacks on Rafah constituting a major ground operation that crossed any red lines. US President Joe Biden earlier indicated that he has no plans to change his Israel policy, but added that he's not turning a blind eye to the plight of civilians in Gaza. Meanwhile, Israel's military has denied striking a tent camp in the southern Gaza city of Rafah. DD India's Sarah Coates has sent this report from Tel Aviv.
Certainly intense focus on the ground in the southern part of the Gaza Strip. People say that the situation is worsening by the hour amid heavy airstrikes and the Israeli military moving deeper into the city of Rafah. Now we have pictures coming out of terrified people fleeing, although they say they simply have no place to go. We've also heard from the World Health Organization with its director, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, saying that out of all the hospitals in the Gaza Strip, only a third of them are working at any kind of capacity, while also the Palestinian Red Crescent has also announced earlier this morning that its field hospital that was set up in the humanitarian zone of Al-Mawasi, which is in the west of Rafah, has now had to relocate due to intense bombing, intense shelling. So certainly a very concerning situation for people right across the Strip. But of course, we do need to remember that many of these residents have actually relocated down to these southern areas. And this is the area that the Israeli military is really focusing on right now. We've heard time and time again from the Israeli establishment that this is an area that the IDF needs to get into. It says it believes the remaining 4 Hamas battalions are actually stationed there, and potentially some of these 120 Israeli hostages may be hidden there, and that's its reasoning for having to go down into Rafah.
And back to India now. The country is witnessing extreme heat across the north. Severe heat wave has gripped the northern states of Delhi, Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan for the past few days. Temperatures in India's capital surged to a record-breaking 52.3 degrees Celsius on Wednesday. According to the India Meteorological Department, severe heat waves are due to a combination of factors, including the earlier El Niño effect and anticyclonic circulation. But in news of some respite, monsoon is set to hit the southern Indian state of Kerala in the next 24 hours. The India Meteorological Department on Wednesday said that conditions were becoming increasingly favourable for the onset of southwest monsoon over Kerala. The IMD has also forecast the advance of monsoon over some parts of northeastern states during the same period. And next we take a look at other stories making news around the world. Walt Disney's Young Woman and the Sea is set to release in the US on May 31st in the run-up to the Olympics. The movie is an ode to US swimmer Gertrude Trudy Ederle, an Olympic gold medalist and the first woman to swim the English Channel. Archaeologists have discovered charcoal drawings from 2,000 years ago in the Pompeii Archaeological Park. The findings came to light during the restoration of the famous site. The drawings depicted gladiator flights and hunting scenes. It is deduced that these were sketched by children under 7 years of age. The United Arab Emirates Abu Dhabi National Oil Company has launched a pilot project introducing a robotic fueling arm pilot. The robotic arm will use cameras and sensors to refill the tank. So we apologize for the wrong visuals there. What you just saw was Indian mountaineer Satyadeep Gupta. He has scripted history by becoming the first person to scale Mount Everest and Mount Lhotse twice in one season, and also the first Indian to traverse the two peaks in 11 hours and 15 minutes. Gupta scaled the 8,516 meter high Mount Lhotse on Monday at noon and the 8,849 meter high Mount Everest at 12:45 a.m. midnight. And as we speak of Satyadeep's achievements, 29th of May marks 71 years of the first human ascent to the world's tallest peak, Sagarmat, famed as Mount Everest. It was on May 29th of 1973 when two climbers, Tenzing Norgay Sherpa and Edmund Hillary, scaled the highest peaks of the world. Since then, more than 8,000 people have made successful summits to the peak. Interestingly, the Himalayan nation of Nepal officially observes May 29th as the International Sagarmat Day. This year's slogan is Sagarmat, the highest peak in the world, identity and pride of Nepal. What a glorious day to celebrate the achievements of Satyadeep Gupta. That's it in this edition of DD India Global. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live, and you can also download DD India mobile app for news on the go. So we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from my entire team in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.